I paid Charlie Morgan $15,000 to help grow my business. And in this video, I'm going to tell you whether it was worth it or not. I'm going to be breaking down the biggest lessons I learned, the exact frameworks he teaches, and how it's already impacting my business. So if you want to know what $15,000 worth of business education gets you and steal some of the insights for yourself, then keep watching. Why on earth would I even begin to spend $15,000 on education when there is so much free stuff out there on the internet? If we actually go back to where this started and where this opportunity came from, this wasn't actually for my marketing agency. This was actually how I found out that marketing agencies exist. I was actually looking to get clients and new leads for my first ever business, and we were struggling to get enough traction with the budget that we had. We were fed up of cold calling. We believed there was a better way to get clients than cold calling, and this is where we actually stumbled across Charlie Morgan's course. We were already using quiz funnels. I ended up getting hit by one of Charlie's ads, and I'm sure many of you have been hit before. The actual ad, funny enough, that got me was an ad that said never cold call again. The ad managed to get me in emotionally, and before I even knew it, I was through his whole funnel, and it was actually the first time I'd ever bought something on a VSL. Unlike many other entrepreneurs who come straight out of school and dive straight into it, I was actually relatively late to the party. I went to university, so by the time I came out I was 22, and I hadn't had much experience when it comes to things like VSLs and making money online. I didn't really know it existed. I went and got a corporate job, and then it was there that I actually learnt my trade before setting up something for myself. Why is this relevant? It's relevant because this was the first time I'd ever been properly done by a VSL, and I was booking a call, and to be honest, I had no idea what to expect. I sat a sales call with a guy called Jack Roberts. It's probably the best sales call that I've ever had happen to me. It was the most emotional that I'd ever opened up, especially to a stranger, and he did an unbelievable job of gapping where my desired state was and where I wanted to be. And the solution that obviously they pitched was Imperium acquisition, or EasyGrow, I'm not sure what it was called back then. The biggest problem that we had was that we weren't signing enough clients. So the ads and the promises and the guarantees and everything kind of just all blew us away. Before we knew it, we were spending literally our last amounts of money that we had in our business bank account on this coaching. It either worked and we succeeded, or we failed and we shut the business down and we went and got, normal jobs again. As you can probably tell from my Daniel Priestley video, I'm never shy to spend money in order to learn things. Because I was doing a lot of research on it, the ad got me in such a way that I was absolutely hooked. The reason why I chose his program was just because of the amount of proof that I saw. Again, this was the first time that I'd been done, and when I say done, I mean convinced by a VSL. Now, I'm sure many of you on here have either bought stuff from a VSL, a million promises about signing X, Y, and Z. And to be honest, this is what happened to me. He promised 20 high ticket clients within 90 days, I think it was, or you got all your money back. Obviously, now being 4 years on, I now know that there is no such thing as a guarantee like this. It has been absolutely killed, but I was naive, I was dumb, and I was just brand new to this. I'm not going to go through and tell you whether it's worth it for your business. You're going to have to work that out for yourself. What I will say is that I did get quite a lot of value from the course itself. And later on this video, I'm going to break down the key lessons about what I learned in it and how it actually shaped our business going forward. However, the last thing I'll say on this topic, if you are in a situation where you have an amount of money to spend and you're kind of in the make it or break it part of your business, I would always advise finding out as much as you can for free. I am a marketer and I know what I can show people at the right time to emotionally get them across the line. It is very easy to be taken advantage of if you are in vulnerable situations. If you can afford to go out and pay mentors or to do certain courses, do your research, but I do think there is value there as well. Once I was in the course, it was obvious that Charlie was obsessed with two things: mindset and frameworks. Now, you have to remember, at this time, I didn't have my marketing agency. This was actually where it was born. What we were doing previously is we were using ScoreUp, we were using quiz funnels to get high ticket clients through cold email. When we went into the course, we had the idea that we were actually going to take what they were going to teach us, but implement our own methods. In the 6 months after we joined EasyGrow, we had the most amount of success we ever had when it came to marketing. We were essentially taking the methods that they had, and their big one was using Loom videos to make personalized emails. Now, if you're a client of leader or been a client of leader for a long time, you'll know that that was our specialty. Before we got done by the Google domain problems, we were sending thousands upon thousands of personalized emails and getting hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of responses on score apps through scorecards. We were able to take the systems they taught us and actually span it around, and this was where the marketing agency was born from, from, we're having such good success for ourselves that we then had people ask us to do it for them, and that was then how Leader was born. So the first major lesson that I learned from Charlie Morgan's course, EasyGrow, was that mindset is everything. Now, as I previously said, I was quite late to the party. I was 24 when I started my first business. So a lot of the stuff that he puts out there is for the 16 to probably 20-year-olds who are going through their early stages of finding out who they are in the world. A lot of the stuff that he actually puts out there are targeting around discipline for men and how they can actually utilize discipline to build the lives they want. I was in quite a fortunate position. I've always been very self-disciplined. I've also been very self-motivated, which means a lot of that stuff didn't really resonate with me because of the fact that I just couldn't relate to it. I've never really been addicted to video games, never been addicted to pornography or other things like that. So a lot of the stuff that he put out there, I couldn't directly relate to, but that doesn't mean I couldn't appreciate it. The big thing that I think I took from the mindset was that his ability to go into his monk mode, to go into his discipline and just get stuff done. The level of work required is so high. And it's the first time I really saw that in practice, because again, I was very naive and I didn't really understand it first. Because of my corporate background, I was used to processes and systems and working 9 to 5. I wasn't really aware of the level of work that actually goes in. The next major framework that I learned from Charlie was how you can actually copy other people to get to the next stage of your journey. The problem that a lot of people have is that they choose mentors who are way ahead of them. So when people start off now, they look at Hormozy as a mentor to try and take them to the next gap. Charlie's POV was that you actually should choose people slightly ahead of you so that you can copy them and get to their level. Then once you get to the next step, you then copy the step above. I think everyone in this day wants to go 0 to 100 so quickly, and it's the people who have the discipline to do this slowly are the ones who have the most success over time. This is something that I'm really trying to double down on this year. I'm actually looking at my circle of people that I trust, and I'm looking to see if I can get mentors who are only 1 or 2 steps above me, not 10 or 20. And on the flip side of that, if I come across people who are slightly below me in their journey, it's great for me to be able to help them kind of get to where I am, and then we can all kind of succeed together. Probably the biggest thing that I learned, and again, it was one of the first times I was being exposed to it, is how good sales funnels are. I'd never built one before and I didn't really understand them. Obviously, we have our own spin. We do the quiz funnels and they work very well. But Charlie's was the first time I ever saw follow-up sequences. It's the first time I'd ever had seen email nurture. It was the first time I'd ever seen YouTube ads targeting people who are watching their YouTube. Now, this is all like very basic stuff, but when everything comes together, it really looks at the ecosystem that I keep going on about. Even small things like the follow-ups and the SMS messages and the WhatsApp messages before the sales calls to stop the no-shows. It's just the basic stuff that you have to go out and build. You don't think they're important, but if they add 5% a year, you could be sitting hundreds of more sales calls and therefore closing hundreds of more leads every single year. His sales process, probably the best sales process I've ever been on. The contracts were ready, the payment was going, the guy was not letting me off that call without buying. I'd never been exposed to such good levels of selling, and I can see why he gets so many people through the door, because their sales function is probably the best in the course selling world. Once you get the leads in somehow, you then have to nurture them in set ways. This is stuff that I bang on to our team about, but actually seeing it in practice and seeing how big his business has got is crazy to see it in practice, and I'm really happy that I was exposed to it early so that I could implement it in my business as soon as possible. We're covering some pretty high level stuff here, and if you want to implement this into your own business, you're going to need to build a solid foundation. That's why I put together a completely free course where you can learn how to build your own quiz funnels for free. It's the exact systems that we use to generate leads on autopilot, and it's the perfect next step for you to take after this video. If you want to get that for free, it's in a link in the description below. Go check it out now, join, and then come back to the video and we can finish off the other things that I learned. As I mentioned earlier, the framework and the general mindset modules that Charlie put out there were game changers for my business. But the real difference was his teaching of pain. My understanding of pain went from physical pain, which I always thought pain was, to the actual mental pain that he bangs on about. I didn't understand that using your prospect's pain is your number one way into getting them to have any attention to what you sell or what you do. He taught me that pain and struggle are the biggest motivators in a person's decision making. If you understand what your prospects' pains are, you can sell to them so effectively. It's what happened in the sales call that I had. The salesperson was asking me questions to find out what my pain was so that they could then sell me. They could actually sell to where my insecurities are, and they could find the real reasons behind why I wanted to join the course. And again, if we break it down to its absolute face value, We wanted to earn more money. We wanted to prove to everyone, me and my business partner, that we could have a successful business. We wanted to prove everyone who said we'd never make it wrong. And by learning that and by learning the emotion in it, they then sold me the absolute dream. And they went through all of the problems that I thought I was going to go through, all of my insecurities, and essentially put it down in a way where the only thing I could say was yes. By the end of it, it wasn't even a sale. They weren't asking me to buy it. I was asking them if I could get involved. There's a very, very tight line here, and they do go through this in the course when they teach you how to sell, about how unethical and irresponsible it can be in the wrong hands. There is disclaimers about that, but to their credit, it is some of the best sales training I've ever seen, and the mindset shifts that I learned are stuff that I use to this day. That course and seeing the amount of money that those guys make was an absolute game changer and opened my eyes to the amount of money that you can make if you are able to get your info products out there in a way that help people. It can't be scammy, it can't be fake value, it can't be ChatGPT. Every video that he produces, I believe, is very, very authentic, and it is packed with value. You can knock him for being over the top with their marketing spend. You can knock him for the ads. Obviously, there's a few things in the course that I don't like, and I'm going to go through them in a minute. But what you can't knock is the amount of work and the amount of effort and the amount of value that they give, and specifically Charlie gives, in those videos. Now, the only negative I can say about the whole course is that I believe that sometimes they do actually take advantage of some people at the start of their journey. Now, I paid £12,000, which is around $15,000. I paid the whole thing. Their sales guys are only commissioned off first month collected revenue, so they probably get between 60 and 80% of cash collected on the first call. Now, I know this is true because I've seen some of Charlie's other videos that he's done online, and he says that you should never expect to get paid after, I think it's 6 payments. After that, there's a likelihood that people will drop off. Now, of course, this isn't just on them, but I do believe that sometimes when you have to be responsible when selling to young people, they can afford to put the first payment on their credit card and maybe even the second, but after that, they don't have enough money to pay the third, fourth, fifth and sixth, which is actually going to be where they can grow their business and get a return on their investment. I do think they need to potentially be a little bit more responsible when it comes to people's affordability. That being said, that's the only real negative I took from the whole course. I think it's not for everyone, and I don't recommend everyone jumps in and does it, but I got value from it. I do think that what they've done is they've put a lot of that stuff online now. His YouTube wasn't as big as it is now. The free course didn't exist. So there's a lot more education out there for free. So would I do it today? Probably not. But it was the thing that made me start my marketing agency. And for that, I will always be thankful. Now, if you enjoyed this breakdown of what I learned from Charlie Morgan, then you're going to love the video that I did on what I learned from Daniel Priestley. In that video, I break down the 3 biggest lessons that actually changed the trajectory of my business. It's my most popular video on my channel by far, and for a good reason, and it perfectly complements what we learned today. I'll see you over there.